What's going on, guys? We're here. We're live. Welcome to a brand new Poker Life podcast / DFS edition. DFS Life podcast, I guess we might be able to call this episode. My name's Joey Ingram, aka Chicago Joey. If you're from DFS and you don't know much about me, I do a regular podcast called the Poker Life Podcast. I've done a bunch of DFS shows in the past. I also do Sunday night sweats for Roto Grinders, where we sweat the contest, sweat the games, and we generally try to. Sometimes we get the Millionaire Maker on. Unfortunately, we did it a week after our guest today. He won the Millionaire Maker. He's a man of the people. He's definitely my favorite person on Twitter to follow in DFS. I don't know where he comes up with all these like quips and his jokes. He's always on point. I don't know if he's like studying for months. I don't know how he did it, but we're gonna find out. Podcast extraordinaire, writer, former poker player, husband. Father, thanks. I'm trying to think of anything other. What else, Al? What else am I missing for you, buddy?
Twitter trigger master.
Oh yeah.
How about that? I can set my mentions on fire at the drop of a hat. Sometimes I do it just for fun.
I'm sure you do, man. Today with the what was it? Was today the pecan pie thing?
Today was pecan pie.
Okay, we're joined by Al Smizzle. Al, how do you say your last name? Zeidenfeld.
That's perfect pronunciation right there.
All right, Zeidenfeld. So you recently put something up on Twitter today about pies and Thanksgiving. We're going to do a Thanksgiving power ranking list a little bit later in the show. I'm generally curious what your thoughts on that. But yeah, guys, we're joined by Al. I haven't done any DFS podcasts since before the season started, but I really, there's a bunch of guys I really like in the community. Some guys I find really entertaining. Al's podcast that they do on Thursday with him and Adam Levitan and Peter Jennings is kind of the one I listen to every week that breaks down all the games. So I was like, man, I got to do something with Al. So I'm happy to have him on. And welcome officially to the show, buddy.
Thank you very much. Thank you for listening also to the podcast. I appreciate it. I've caught a few of your streams. Yours are long and twisting. You go down every rabbit hole. It's amazing to see the podcast stamina that you have on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I'm from poker, from grinding Supernova Elite. I'm used to playing these long poker sessions every single day. So when I come to I get to talk with people who are actually intelligent or smart and who I really enjoy the conversation with. I'm like, man, this is like heaven. I don't know. This is like so much better than having to grind poker 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day.
Yeah, poker, it was fun. And then I went back and I played last year. I won a seat in the LAPC on Draftkings.
Nice.
And I hadn't played since my son was like the first year that he was born. So it was about 2010. I hadn't played in the WPT since then. And there were a few things that I noticed, but the first thing that I noticed was this is not as much fun to me as it used to be. But I still playing a home game with my buddies, some friends of mine that have a home game. We play a 2-table tournament every month, and that's a ton of fun. So the game is still fun to me, but grinding a tournament just is not fun to me anymore.
Yeah, so for you guys who don't know, for Al, if you guys are in DFS, you know him as a guy in DFS, but you used to play poker. And as you mentioned, you stopped playing 2010. What year did you start? What was your kind of career? What did it look like?
I don't remember exactly when I started, but just like most people around that time, the moneymaker boom was what kind of got me into it, right? Like that, you watch that on ESPN. They had the lipstick cameras that showed you the whole cards, and that was the one that really sucked me into the game and wanting to learn more about it. And I had never played before then. I had never played Hold'em. I'd never really played poker competitively, but I've always been a really competitive guy and always wanted to challenge myself, whether it was physically or mentally, intellectually, against other people. And at that point in my life, it wasn't like I could sit down and square off against Roger Clemens. I couldn't throw a ball past somebody. I couldn't take on Barry Sanders in the open field or anything like that. But I could sit across the table from Daniel Negreanu and either make a decision or put him to a decision where I get to compete against the best players in the world. So that's kind of what I tried to work myself to be a part of.
So you played, I guess, were you professionally playing for 6-7 years, or were you playing when did you become professional?
I got 2000. I did it very seriously when I was kind of coaching basketball. At the time I was coaching kind of full-time basketball, which took me from about, October of every year until middle of March was when the high school season would end. And then from March until whatever else, when you come back for fall practice or you do summer stuff, I could play poker a lot, whether it was online or whether it was traveling, going to the World Series, do everything else in the off season and not miss a beat. So I was kind of doing coaching full time as a job, and I was also playing poker as this really serious hobby. And I stopped coaching basketball 2006. 2005, 2006 was my last season coaching basketball, and then I just started playing poker full time from then until about when we had kids in 2010.
Are you good at basketball?
Used to be. I'm old now, man. I'm 43.
You're a coach, man. I love playing. I play ball. I want to coach. I want someone to find that can work me on fundamentals, because I feel like I go there and I work really hard, but I never really learned proper GTO fundamentals at basketball. I'm like, man, I need like a trainer to work with me and kind of like just introduce these things I might not be doing in my game to my life.
It's funny how like when you immerse yourself in anything, whether it was basketball or poker or now daily fantasy, you can really work at your craft and get better at it. And I did that with coaching basketball, right? Where I started just like anybody else. I started, okay, I want to coach basketball. Where can I coach? Okay, I'll start at a park. And you're just volunteering coaching parks and rec. And then from there, I started doing the All-Stars program at the park. And then we would travel to different parks. And then from there, I started coaching AAU. And then I wanted to really be serious and get into high school. And the first paid job that I could get as a high school basketball coach was a 9th grade girls job. So I was a 9th grade girls high school head.
Watch yourself out. Coach. Watch yourself, buddy. Hey,
that was the only entry point to like getting paid as a coach. So I started there, worked my way up to varsity assistant, then got my own program somewhere, and had like a 10-year goal of either being on a nationally ranked like USA Today Super 25 team, like the coach of or one of the coaches of one of those teams, or on a college team. Within 8 years, I had accomplished both of those things. And I ended as last job I had was an assistant coach at Santa Monica College, men's job, junior college. I was in charge of the post players, and I called every inbounds play. Like that was like my niche. Was I could come up with better inbounds plays and call them at the right times and score whenever I had to. And I almost took pleasure in like just torturing other coaches with how good our special teams were.
That's interesting. So you decided to give that up. You spent 8 years at that, give that up to go play poker professionally?
Yeah, I just started playing poker all the time. It was something I really enjoyed at the time. I liked the travel. It was something that I made good money at, but I didn't, just like daily fantasy, I didn't need the money that I was making from poker to take care of myself. I was financially stable from other business endeavors that I had. So like it was this really serious hobby that I had, but didn't need it to pay the rent or pay for food. So I'm in kind of a unique situation versus some other people. And I always was very clear about that. People say, oh, you play poker professionally. That's the short answer. Yes. But like, I didn't need it to pay for my rent or my mortgage. So I have a different sort of respect for people who play, as I used to say, they play for food.
So I guess were you just a tournament player? You played only the 2-card game, Nolan Hole. You didn't play the great game of Pot Limit Omaha, the 4-card game?
I messed around with Pot Limit Omaha. I do like Omaha. I messed around with Raz because it was a simplistic 7-card game that I liked. And I'm sure that I just, made some of your listeners go 6-minute abs when I said Raz is somewhat simplistic. But the decision making is kind of yes or no in Raz, as opposed to other, more nuanced decisions.
Not many Raz guys out there, Al. I got to be honest.
I know there aren't, but I'm sure there's somebody that's going to be ripping me in my mentions because I said that.
You get ripped in your mentions all the time, it sounds like, man.
It's sort of the thing. It's my brand.
What do they say? What are they saying to you?
I don't know. I mute half of them now, and that's the best part. The Twitter mute button is the MVP of Twitter.
I got a lot of guys on mute, Al. I don't want to. I got to be honest. I got a lot of people on mute. Anyone that talked politics throughout the political season, they're on mute. I'm not even going to look who's on mute. I don't care who's on mute. I'm fine not seeing them on mute, man. I'm happy seeing the people I see now. And
your life is happier because of it, right?
I'm like that with anything, with my chat rooms on Twitch or YouTube. I just gear to anyone, man. If you like bring my energy down, ban, timeout, ban. Like I'm not. People tell you you're a fucking idiot, Al. You picked CJ. Trust the process yesterday, and he got hurt. He's out for the year. Why the fuck would you tell us to pick him? You're like, all right, calm down, guy.
Yep.
Like,
chill out.
Like, that might have actually happened. I don't know. That didn't happen this week, did it?
I mean, I try to converse with people. So like, I think that's where I'm different. Everybody tells me don't engage, don't do this, don't do that. Like, there's a point where I won't engage with people. But I remember like when I was absolutely nobody on Twitter. Like nobody was like wanting to talk to me. I had, maybe 500, 1,000 followers, whatever. If I wanted to talk sports with somebody, or I wanted to talk fantasy sports, or ask a question, or talk poker at the time, or whatever I wanted to talk, it was hard to get somebody to reply to you. You know, you're just kind of shouting at the wind. So anytime somebody would reply, I remember how nice that felt that somebody would take the time out of the day to reply to me. And I've kind of taken that stance since I started doing Grinders Live in like 2013, that I would try to reply to as many people as possible who were not asking for the answers to the test. You know, somebody who wants to have a conversation, I'm more than willing to have a conversation with you on Twitter. And I'll go back and forth. I don't care if you have 10,000 followers or 20. But when they get to a point where they don't want to converse or don't want to listen anymore or don't like facts, that's the mute hammer comes right in. And that's so much better than the ban hammer. It's so much better than blocking.
I like
blocking,
the ban hammer.
they get a trophy.
Sometimes.
But blocking, they get a trophy. It says this person blocked you, and they feel like they win somehow. You mute them, they have no idea you muted them, and they just keep shouting at you, but you never answer. So they're just like barking up a tree for the rest of their Twitter lives.
Some evil shit there, bro.
I'm telling you.
Evil. I mean, but I know what you mean. When I first started off doing podcasts, I was the same way. You know, I'm like, I'm going to engage with every single person on every platform that watches my podcast because I know I'd want to feel like that. Like when I watch BS Report, Bill Simmons, if I listen to that, I'd like him to say, hey, you know, like, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the last 300 fucking podcasts I've put out there. Like, I know I'd love that personally. So, but I do find it does get overwhelming at sometimes because you get a ton of messages on social media. You get a ton of mentions. You get messages on, you know, forums and stuff like that. So it does become a little bit challenging to respond to everybody. But I'm definitely the same way. I like engaging with people. I like showing them love. And, you know, if they take the time out to message me, I do like to put an effort and, you know, try to say something back or message them back or just talk with them a little bit too, because I am interested in conversating, but it just gets overwhelming sometimes.
It can be, but you know, like I said, you try and keep it light. That's why I try to make, I try to come up with these. I don't like spend a lot of time thinking about it, but my mind kind of works in a strange way.
Don't lie. Okay, be honest, Al. How much time do you spend thinking about these fucking jokes you do on? It's like very entertaining. I don't know, man. I'm like, man, I don't know how he comes up with this stuff. And now people are trying to copy you. I've noticed this. They're okay. The girl tries. She's trying to come up with Al like Twitter post. There's some other people that are trying to be like you and with their jokes. Shetty, shout out to my boy Shetty, man. Shetty's coming up with a lot of these things. I call them these Al tweets, the Al style tweets.
Smiz life tweets.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. You I don't know. Seriously, how do you like? What's your secret?
I have a weird brain, man. I don't know how else to explain it. I consume a lot of pop culture. I was always really good at memorizing movie lines and movie quotes and TV shows and stuff like that, as well as song lyrics. And anything that happens, my brain kind of relates whatever's happening in real life to those things, whether it just makes it easier for me to understand them or what. That's just how my brain works. So something happens and it immediately like clicks and relates to some movie or Seinfeld episode or Friends episode or some rap lyric from, you know, old school hip hop that I used to listen to or whatever. And I just type it. You know, like this morning I was thinking about the reason that the pecan pie thing, right? This is how that started. Okay.
Here we go.
I cannot stand pecan pie, mostly because I don't like nuts in my dessert. You know, I don't like nuts in cookies, don't like nuts in brownies, don't want nuts on my pie.
Okay. Jeez.
Right?
It's a hard stance. Okay. Hey, everyone's got to dislike something. I agree.
But I like peanuts. I'll eat peanuts by themselves, but I'll take Milky Way over a Snickers any day.
Controversial, but okay.
Is that a hot take? I don't mean it to be a hot take, but like, so this morning I was thinking about we're planning our Thanksgiving meal that we're going to make in a few days. And like, we're wondering, my wife said, when is the turkey getting here? Because we ordered this turkey from somewhere and it gets here. I said, it's supposed to come today or tomorrow. And I started thinking, oh man, it's going to be Thanksgiving. Oh man, stuffing is delicious. And so I started tweeting about stuffing. And then I said, okay, what's your favorite Thanksgiving themed dish that you like? And that, like, it literally just came out of nowhere. And then I was like, man, all this food's delicious. Damn, pecan pie sucks. And then that just started the pecan pie thing. So
for you, I got a lot of people that aren't necessarily Americans that listen to the podcast. So Thanksgiving, if you don't really know what Thanksgiving is, I don't exactly know. I don't know exactly what it celebrates, but all I know is it's a big thing where families get together. It's like the time you see your family, a lot of football and a lot of food. A lot of
really good food where you got to like undo your belt at the end of the meal and you probably go to sleep or take a little nap because it's such heavy gravy infested food.
I've always wondered, why are there not why are there not more Thanksgiving? Like, why can't I get Thanksgiving food on more days than Thanksgiving? It's so damn good. Like, I want to play Thanksgiving food once a week, I feel like.
Somebody sent me a picture of a sandwich from like a sandwich shop where they make a Thanksgiving sandwich.
Ooh.
Where it's like you get sliced turkey, stuffing, cranberries, gravy on like a roll.
I'm in.
You could have a Thanksgiving lunch every day.
Okay, so I know a lot of food. I really just want to know what you think. I know people in the chat sometimes, on Thanksgiving, you might not even have these foods. But give me your Thanksgiving food power ranking list. Mine sweet potatoes, by the way, that's top.
Sweet potatoes, yams, yeah. Got to have marshmallows on top, yeah.
Sure. That's number one.
Mashed potatoes got to be in there.
With gravy or not gravy?
I like gravy on the turkey, and then I just kind of get a fork with everything all at the same time. I'll get
mix the corn with the mashed potatoes.
I won't like mix it. Like I segregate my foods on my plate. Like I don't want the peas rolling into the potatoes, but I'll take some potatoes and some corn and then eat it. But I want them separate on the plate.
Okay.
I told you, man, I got a weird brain.
I'm not segregating anything in 2016. I'm not. I ain't trying to make anybody upset these days, Al. Those people, they're.
I understand. Something. I totally understand. So
give me the rankings then.
I mean, there's got to be a whole bird turkey on there, right? You got to have stuffing. You could even have stuffing rankings in and of themselves. You could have regular stuffing. You could have cornbread stuffing, focaccia stuffing.
Jesus.
You put sausage in your stuffing.
How much food are you buying with that $1 million victory this year, Al?
All of it.
Are you getting one of everything at the place?
It's like the song. I took a pill in Ibiza.
Okay.
You say I'm a big baller because I got $1 million, but I spent it on Thanksgiving food.
Listen, man, we all got to degenerate our money off on something, buddy. I mean, I guess that's what old guys with families do. How old are you?
I'm 43 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm a man apparently, according to some college football coach.
You are a man, my friend. So what's the rank is going to be? I'm like unofficial. I'm thinking
stuffing's got to be number one.
Stop it.
Stuffing is
who's like I'm excited stuffing.
Dude, I will sit there like the meal is getting prepped and like as soon as the stuffing's done, like midday, like 3 hours before the meal, I will have like a little bowl of stuffing. That's the first thing I eat from the meal. And then like even like 2-3 hours before the meal, I'm just eating stuffing.
All right. Okay.
And then wait, this is also partially because I have not had carbs in like 4 or 5 months.
Okay. And so this is like your day?
Like extra, like stuffing is getting, it's almost like that old Eddie Murphy joke. It's like, if you're in a desert and like somebody gives you a cracker, you're that cracker is delicious. Is that a Ritz? It's not just going to be some regular old cracker. So this stuffing this year is going to be just on point, as opposed to every other year was just amazing.
Okay, so stuffing's up there. I'm just going to run through it real quick, and then we don't want to. I guess we won't spend too much time on Thanksgiving. Sweet potatoes, mashed potatoes with gravy, the light meat turkey, and the green bean casserole. I agree. Yeah. That's my top 4.
Yeah. Green bean casserole's got to be in there.
I think that's top 4.
That's got to be your top 4.
People in the chat, Americans, please. I'm turning this up. Please let me know what you guys think. I'm generally curious. So, I guess we kind of talked a little bit about the poker stuff. So, were you like in terms of your poker life? Did you have a lot of success at tournaments, or was it something where you, like, what would you kind of fall in terms of that scale?
Online, I did mostly sit and goes, like the full ring sit and goes, single tables, and live I would do a lot of WPT tournaments. I would travel around the West Coast. I went back to Borgata 1 year. But mostly Las Vegas, California, Bay 101, the things at the Bike and Commerce here in Los Angeles, anything they had at Bellagio, I'd always go there. The old Fontana Room at Bellagio was my favorite place in the world to play poker.
I don't think I ever played there before.
Well, now it's like a club. They totally demolished it. It was a big glass wall on the back. You could see out to the fountains. It's like the only place you could play a tournament, a poker tournament, but actually like see outside, where you didn't feel like you were stuck in a room or stuck inside a casino. It was a very unique place to play. Yeah,
I definitely never played there before then. That's a little before my time. And then 2010, you started getting into daily fantasy sports?
No, 2012. So like my kid was born in 2010. The last tournament I played after he was born was at the Bike, the bicycle casino here in Los Angeles, where I played the Legends of Poker. Was the last live tournament I played until LAPC last year. And spent like a year and a half just bopping around at home with my newborn son. And then I started playing daily fantasy in April of 2012.
how much money did you make from that? Like, what the? How are you just taking a year and a half off? What is happening right now?
I have other businesses that do well.
What are your other businesses?
I invested in a lot of stuff that made money, and at this point, I make money. I don't have to work a 9 to 5.
I mean, not when you're taking down the Millionaire Maker. So,
yeah.
So you started playing DFS 2012, and then how long till you were kind of became a part of the community before you were someone who was putting out articles or doing podcasts and that type of stuff?
Oh, that's a good question. I qualified for my first live final in December of 2012. It was a Draft Street football final. And I didn't know anybody in the industry other than like Drew Dinkmeyer. He was the only person that I had even talked to on what we now call DFS Twitter, right? So he was the only person that I knew. And it was only 20 people, but like the 20 people that are in that tournament, if you look back, like it's I don't want to use a term like the Mount Rushmore, but like it's a lot of like old head, great DFS players, many of whom are still great players and big, longstanding members of the community today. I also won I didn't win that. I came in like second to last. And then I won the Draft Street Basketball Championship in February or early March of 2013. And then I immediately started doing Grinders Live like 2 weeks later.
Oh, wow. So that was pretty much, so 2013, you've been grinding ever since then? You just been doing...
Yeah. Doing live shows, podcasts, radio hits. I don't like to write, but I write because I have to. I'd prefer not to do an article, but people like articles.
They love articles.
They really like articles. Content is king. But I'd rather just sit here and talk and be in front of a microphone or in front of a camera. It's a lot easier. I'm sure that people that are watching would rather me just be on a podcast so they don't have to look at my face. But I'd rather just be sitting here in front of a mic or a camera than having to hammer out, being a content monkey, hammering out articles. I can't stand writing. I'm the most inefficient writer of all time.
All right. Well, since I started writing more, I got 2 suggestions. First suggestion is you speak out what you want to write, and then you just transcribe it. And second is you talk to someone else and they write it for you.
Yeah, you just dictate it to somebody else.
You just have someone else write it. Yeah. You say, hey, write this for me. I'm going to tell you what I want you to write. And then they'll write it for you.
That's the goal, is to like get big enough so that whoever I'm writing for will just hire a ghostwriter. And I just say, hey, these are the 9 cats that I like this week. Write them up. And that's my whole article.
You can write, you kind of like write your own words. You put your own words in there. You put your own humor in there. That's why it's like easy to say to another person. You say like, hey, Craig, I'm paying you $20 an hour, $15 an hour, or whatever. Right. Write this for me. And then Craig, he's like a Adderalled out 22-year-old student. He writes for you. Like
that's the dream, right?
That exists. What do you mean? I haven't
exists. That doesn't exist in my life. I work from home, man. Like this, I have an office upstairs in my house. This is my basement. And, like it used to be a really nice basement. Like behind this backdrop, there's like an 11-foot movie screen. Like I used to come down here and watch TV and play Xbox on the 11-foot screen. And I don't even, like Ruthless used to come over and play Xbox with me.
Shout out to Adam.
Yeah. And, now it's a big old studio.
Where do you live in LA? What part?
West Los Angeles, like between, if I don't know if you know LA or not, but like on the west side of LA, like by Culver City, Beverly Hills, Westwood, Santa Monica, that area. There's a little place in the middle of there called Cheviot Hills.
There's a place in the middle of there. I didn't even know there's a place in the middle there.
Most people wouldn't know that, but you'd know all the names that I just said. But unless you live in LA, you don't know where Cheviot is.
Is that like a family part of town where the 40-year-old guys go to all get together?
It's actually kind of a cool area how it popped up. It popped up in like the 30s because it exists between what was MGM Studios and it's now Sony Pictures and Fox Studios, 20th Century Fox. So the main road that goes through it was like they used to, on horse and buggy, take the cell movies back and forth, the big tins back and forth between the studios. And so all the studio heads and producers and actors and everybody they started building up homes in this area in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. So it's really got a suburban, away from the city feel, but you're literally right in the middle of West Los Angeles. It's this weird.
You're pretty close to everything. It seems like you can go to Santa Monica pretty easily. You can go to Beverly Hills if you want to go. You could probably go to where's all the family lives? For the family, what's it called out there by the stadium? Pasadena.
Downtown? Oh, Pasadena. Yeah, that's a little north of us. Yeah.
Yeah, Pasadena. I think I know a lot of friends live in Pasadena out there.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you like? Would you go any place? Where do you like to hang out and go to?
Love to go to Santa Monica.
Mm.
I used to love to go to the restaurants in Beverly Hills. I still try to whenever I can, but it's harder with the kids. But, we go to Santa Monica most, pretty much every weekend. My kids love going to the beach, so we go to the beach all the time during the summers. There's a nice little park right by our house, so we end up kind of walking around the park. It's like a 3-mile hike to get around the park. It's up and down some hills, so, we get around. Head down to San Diego for some vacation time.
Mm. Love San Diego, obviously. Used to live in San Diego. It's a great great place. How old are your kids, the 2 kids you got?
6.5 and 4.5. We just planned their next birthday parties in a couple of months.
Oh,
they'll be 7 and 5 real soon.
Are they men or boy or
two
girl?
Boys. 2 boys.
Both boys?
Both boys.
Whew. Whew, thank God. Okay. I don't know. Maybe you want a daughter, but I mean, listen, I'm taking 2. I want 2 sons over 2 daughters, I'm pretty sure.
They will drive you crazy.
I imagine so. We got a bunch of people tuned in here live, guys. Shout out to everybody tuning in. Much love, much love. See a couple regulars. Somebody, Jane Ann, is out there in the chat. Ruben Bahamaman. I'm here for my first shout out. Help a brother out. Puppy. What's up, Ruben? Welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the show. The Schwab says Smizzle. Actually, I'm curious about the Schwab Masters one. Do you mind shedding some light on yesterday's events and speak to exactly how the community not this far into it, but replenishes itself when colluders strike like that? So are we talking about the 333 draft? Which one are we talking about right now? Are we talking about the Papa? Who are we talking about?
I'm assuming they're talking about Chipotle and Papa Gates, but I haven't dug that much into it.
Yeah, no. So yesterday in the 333 on Draftkings,
they just beat up the top end of it.
Papa Gates was 1, 2, 3. Chipotle Addict was 4. I think Papa Gates might have been 5. I think Chipotle Addict and Papa Gates were 8, 9, 10. Sahil was like 7. I'm just like, what is happening right now? And I talked with Papa a little bit too. He said he won 7 DraftKings seats yesterday.
Oh man, 7's a lot.
I
have 2. I'm happy with 2.
7's crazy. I mean, is this a big thing in DFS right now? I mean, I know there was some controversy for a little bit, but is it still something where people are like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're not.
People are always going to be. Here's the thing: people are always going to be skeptical of anything, especially if somebody else is winning. Right now, my question is, and has always been, are they? How can you prove that they're trying to skirt entry limits? That would be the toughest question, the toughest problem. And when you have a site that apparently they use, to create their multiple lineups, that has logs of what they're using and their player pool that they're using, and they're running separate multiple lineup generations using different player pools, where it's not, say, creating 300 lineups and they're splitting them. One takes 150 and the other takes 150. They're each generating their own 150. But if they're on the same group of players and that group of players hits, then yeah, of course, the lineups that they create with their different allocations and weights are going to do well.
Mm-hmm.
But if they have separate bankrolls and they're not pooling their money to circumvent entry limits, is it as big a problem as people want to make it? Like, I can see in the chat somebody says, "Oh, they're known cheaters." Okay. Known cheaters meaning what? That you've proven statistically that somebody's doing something incorrectly, or you just really vehemently think that they are? And me asking that question brings heat on somebody like me, because people will then say, well, you're just protecting them. I don't know them. I'm presenting a question to the people that are presenting the question. I believe in the Socratic method. You ask me a question, I'll probably ask you a question back. So if you're going to bring accusations on somebody, then you kind of have to have some sort of proof. And if Fantasy Cruncher's site, when the last time this kind of happened, people kind of broke out and said, "Oh, they're running an optimal and they're making 300 lineups, and then one's entering, with the same player pool, and one's entering 150 of them, the other one's entering another 150 of them. They're splitting them equally, and they're pooling their money." And Fantasy Cruncher says, "Well, I have the logs, and one of them ran their 150 at this time, and another one ran a different 150 at this time. what does that do to that argument?
Right. Sean in the chat says, I'm lost. Can you give a dumb version? Basically, people in the community think that Chipotle Addict and Papa Gates, they're two brothers. I believe they are brothers, correct? That's definitely confirmed.
Yeah, they are brothers, and they've been very successul individually and collectively, apparently.
Yeah, they're two brothers, and there's a 150 lineup limit that people in the community believe they're circumventing by putting in 300 different teams with no overlap in terms of the same players on each team, in terms of one team being the same on either side. And people are saying that they might be cheating. So, and I mean, I guess they've been involved in some things. They were playing three-handed games as well too. So them and then one more player, and people were saying that gives them a big edge. And I didn't look into that too much, but how true is that actually?
Apparently they were doing it based on the people that were saying that they were both sitting a 3-man game. Like I said, and when you do stuff like that, it's going to bring more attention to yourself down the road when something like this happens, when you may or may not have done anything. And again, this is not something I've researched or dug into. I kind of understand it from the fringes, right? So if you're being accused of doing wrong and somebody say, well, you were doing this and that was kind of shady, so you're obviously cheating now. Right? It brings a bad light to yourself. And it's like you had Ryan Dodd on a few months ago where he was kind of talking about similar stuff that was happening in the Kings Cup. And I called Dodd out for that because I've known Ryan for 12, 13 years, at this point from poker. And I had a big understanding with this in poker. Like, you ever play in a tournament that has a betting ring on the poker table?
No, I haven't.
Okay, like think about the poker felt, right? And there's like a circle in the felt. And if your chips go over the line.
Oh yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, I have.
Okay, so let's say you're at the higher limits, in a tournament, whatever, and you're deep stacked, and you've got, let's say, 3 yellows and a pink. So you got $3,000 chips and one 5K chip, right? And the blinds are, let's say, 1,000, 2,000. And you want to get some information. So you pick those chips up, you fuddle with them in your hands for a little bit, and you move forward and you throw them out, but you drop the 5K chip behind the line and you fire the 3K out in front of it. So all in one motion, boom, boom. And only the 3K gets in front. The person that you're betting against in that hand assumes that there's 8K that just got fired out at him, right?
Normally.
Right. But the line, you could then say, the person says, I call you, so I only bet 3 if you were bluffing, right? It opens up the possibility for angle shooting. And that's like, I just personally can't stand angle shooting.
Interesting. I never thought about that. I don't play much live, but I didn't think about that before. That's an interesting one.
So like by instituting that rule with the betting circle on the table, you're opening up the possibility for angle shooting. And that to me was the issue with the dot situation. That seems to be most people's issue with this situation. I have no insight on how any of the sites are handling or will handle it, but I hope that, in some manner it gets handled.
I thought that was great by Fantasy Cruncher, by the way, to just kind of hop in there and kind of,
because everybody just wants to fire allegations at people without any sort of basis. They're obviously doing this. Well, actually, I have the logs and they're not doing that. But then you still get people after getting those facts that are going to say, I don't believe you. Well, if you're undeterred by facts, I don't know what to tell you.
Right. I mean, in that situation, I can definitely understand where recreational players are coming from, or people that don't play that often. They see these guys, they take down, 10 or 15 of the top entry. They're playing in 3-mans. They're suspected of cheating. It's like, people don't want to fucking see these guys win. They want to see DB, who's on the Millionaire Maker sweat with me, a guy from Pittsburgh who works a regular job, who loves daily fantasy sports.
Punts and field goals.
He likes to get drunk and watch the games. They want to see that guy win. They don't want to see these two guys who they don't know who they are, or they suspect them of circumventing rules or getting out of line. They don't want to see those guys win. That's like, so it makes sense why people are going to be against practices like that. One person or two people monopolizing the system and having success doing it. Obviously they need skill to do this. It's not like they can just.
And that's really the rub. That's really the rub. And somebody else was talking about it from the angle that I was speaking about it just now last night on Twitter, and they said, yes, the people that are winning at multi-entry are really good players who are using multi-entry. So it's not just as simple as, well, if I could, I don't have the bankroll to max enter, and if I could, I would just win all the money. It's not that easy. And the road is, the side of the road is littered with former max entry guys who have gone busto because they didn't have the skill. If you just max enter and you don't have the right, a lineup builder is only as good as the projections and the allocations that you put into it, right? Mm-hmm. So if you are bad at predicting the future with any sort of accuracy, or whether it's projections or percentage owned, or where you can leverage situations in tournaments or anything else, you're just going to lose money. And if you try and max enter, instead of entering 1, 2, or 3 times, you enter 150 times. You're not just going to lose; you're going to lose a lot faster.
Now, Al, I'm not sure if that's true, because in the Twitch chat or in the YouTube chat, when I'm doing the Sunday Night Sweat show, people let me know all the time that if they could max enter, they would be winning these tournaments. They tell it all the time, and the only reason certain guys win is because they max enter. Now, are you saying these guys don't know what they're saying they wouldn't be winning if they could max enter? Well,
if it was that easy, why wouldn't you just get a loan or max out your credit cards and just start printing money? If it was just a money press, and you could it was as simple as, well, I can't afford to put $3,000 out there. Well, what about the $3 tournament? Can you afford, $450? Because if you win that tournament, you win like if you max enter and you come in, let's say 33% of your lineups come in the top 10% of that tournament, and including first place, you're going to win like $100K that day. So why not turn 450 into 100K? If it was that easy, all I got to do is put 150 lineups in, and money spits out the disk drive of my computer. It's that easy.
That's what people think. I mean, they do. I don't
think that, and I can't. No matter how many times I just say, "Look, man, it's not easy." And for every one person you see that wins with max entry, there's 10 more that lose.
Right. I think anytime I've tried putting in a large number of lineups, it's there's definitely a skill. I mean, I guess the easiest way to work up, if there's an easy way to work up to that, is kind of start with 10 or 20. And then kind of try to get better with 10 and 20, and then maybe add. It's kind of like adding tables at poker. Maybe you get comfortable playing a certain amount of lineups.
You can't just 50 table sit and goes. You can't be like, I don't even know if he's still a thing in poker, but like back in the day, it was Havad Khan. They used to like.
He's not. More Havad Khan. I need more Havad Khan.
I'm just saying, like, he was one of the first guys that would be like 100 table, open on, and like, no, there's no way he can do it. He's a bot. No, and he like made a YouTube video of him like 100 tabling, right? Mm-hmm. The most I could like optimally do was like 6 or 8 at one time, but I was pretty good at those 6 or 8. But like, there's people that could do way more and be really good at it, but that wasn't me.
Right.
It just that just kind of is what it is. You either have the skill to do that or you don't.
How many? What's kind of your approach to DFS for GPPs? Do you enter when you play
in the past?
What do you say?
I said in the past or like now.
Well, I get both. How'd you kind of start, and then tell us about your progression in terms of if you max entering, whereas before you might have started kind of where you started at.
I mean, this is the first year where the max entries are 150 for football season. Mm-hmm. Last year they were 500, and the year before that they were unlimited. So you'd have people putting in 1,500 lineups in the first few Millie Makers. Like Mark Gino Rex, I think, was a thing back then. And the first Millie Maker, he fired like 1,400 lineups at it. Did not win.
How many did you put in that first one?
I was hand making lineups at that time, and I would be able to make about between 100 to 140 lineups by hand, and it would take me all day on Thursday to enter lineups for that week. So I'd getting them onto the My Lineups page on DraftKings was the hardest part. And I kind of had my process, and you've seen pictures of my notebook, and I did everything. Like, I logged stuff out. I need 10 Andrew Luck lineups, and I need 10 Tom Brady lineups. I want 15 Russ Wilsons, and I want 5 game stacks of this game. And I'd make sure that I made those, but like just carpal tunneling the hell out of my finger to get there was the difficult part, to get all those lineups in. Now, once they're in, now it's easier to manage because now I can, now I can just see them on the page and just click and edit here. Okay, let me get more of this guy. Like back then, now there's, RotoGrinders has a bunch of scripts that you can put on, not scripts, but Google Chrome add-ons, right? That tell you like immediately what percentage allocation you have to a player right there on the screen. Before I would just use the find button. I have 100 lineups and I'd hit, Control F for find, and I'd type the player's name and it would say, you have 25. Okay, so I have 25% of that guy. And I would taper my exposure up or down from there. Like I was totally old school. And now it's different. Now I go through and I make like 20 or 30 or 40 lineups. I start on probably Wednesday morning. We tape our podcast on Thursday. So I'll do some lineups on Wednesday throughout the day, ones that I like. Some on Thursday before we go live with taping our podcast. And then I'll figure out what my allocations are and I'll build the rest out using a lineup builder based on the allocations that I've put in by hand. And then I'll kind of tinker with them until Sunday morning.
So I guess, are you entering, how many tournaments are you entering? How many different tournaments are you entering? Okay,
I don't enter everything on the board. Like I play a lot of cash games, and for cash games, I use one lineup that this is the lineup I feel is the best lineup. This week, it was not the best lineup.
Bang, bang.
Weeks 1 through 9, I was hot fire. Last week, this week, because of the wind and rain, I tinkered a bit too much. It took me off of one. It took me off of 2 plays that it should have taken me off of, but it took me off of 2 other plays that would have been the nuts. So sometimes it helps and sometimes it hurts to chase the weather reports.
Yeah, I saw you tinkering on Periscope. Eating your eggs, buddy. I'm like, man, he must be like really trying to stay away if he's on fucking Periscope right now. Like you're really been fucking around with your lineups if you need to like resort to that.
That's become like a thing the last 3 weeks, because now it's like, okay, I finish at like 9 or 9:15. And if you're just sitting there staring at the lineups page and watching that timer tick down, you're going to mess with stuff. And it's like, okay, I'm happy. Once I feel like I'm happy with my lineups, I need to like stop, because I'm not going to make it any better.
Right.
And I'm just going to end up setting myself up to second guess myself later.
Yeah, you like read more articles. You're like seeing more updates on Adam Levitan on Twitter. Is like, the wind just shifted to. You're like, oh fuck.
Now I got to take all these guys out.
Yeah, let me put the lineup. Let me like put this back. Oh man, that's got to be.
If I had not read anything about the wind in Washington, my cash game lineup from Tuesday until Sunday at 9 a.m. had Cousins and Crowder. So that's 60 points that just got taken out of my lineup. The guys I put in for them, I went up to Andrew Luck and down from Crowder to Tyreek Hill. So I got, pretty good production out of those guys, but that was like 28 points, 29 points, as opposed to the 60 that the other guys scored. That's the difference in my week right there.
As I watch every Sunday night game very closely in every single play, that was not good people pivoted away from that game, huh?
Yeah, because the early morning report was, and it's like sometimes you need to, part of being successful in daily fantasy is knowing what news to tune into and knowing what news to kind of turn the volume down on. And I was in tune with news. Anytime they say, like, I have like my dog ears kind of go up, anytime they perk up, anytime somebody says wind over 25 or 30 miles an hour, and I've got passing game exposure in those games, So I really liked Odell Beckham this week until they're like, oh, it's going to be like 35 mile an hour wind. All right, I got to get Odell out of there. And they're like, well, tonight looks like it's going to be 30 mile an hour winds gusting up to 45. I'm like, Kirk Cousins doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. I don't know if I want to be messing with 35 mile an hour winds. I was like, I'll just go with Andrew Luck, who's, got a strong arm, plays indoors, and is in the highest total game of the day.
It seemed like a pretty good pick, but
it just didn't work out as well as I had. I mean, Kirk Cousins was my cover boy on my article this week, too. I was all in on Kirk Cousins until like 9 a.m.
Are you joking me right now? Your cover article was Kirk Cousins, and then you went out and he had like the best
I write up 3 quarterbacks. Like they want me to give a quarterback at like the high end, the mid range, and like a value guy. And I typically play the value guy in my cash games because for reasons that are pretty obvious. Pretty much every week, it's kind of my cash game strategy. So I was all in on Cousins basically. And then it's like, well, I don't want to end up with like 8 points out of my quarterback here. There's probably limited upside if there's going to be that windy. They're going to run the ball a ton. And while that worked out in a couple of other win games, like Pittsburgh against Cleveland, and it worked out with the Giants game where there was also a lot of wind, it did not materialize in that game. And he was just throwing the ball all over the Green Bay defense, who somebody said to me last night, we say teams that don't allow you to run the ball but make you throw it are called funnel defenses. They funnel you. I guess it's a reverse funnel, but whatever. They don't let you do one thing and they force you to do another, right? So they force you to throw it. Somebody said the Green Bay Packers are not a funnel defense. They're a tunnel defense because everybody just goes right through them. So I call them the Taco Bell defense.
Oh wow! I mean, with those fast food rankings, though, who had the fast food contest?
That has to be Brit. That has to be Brit.
No, I don't think so. I think it was Justin? I can't remember. I can't remember who had the. There was
it was Justin, but you know what? That's Brit's brand. That's all on Brit for allowing Justin to do that.
Yeah, it was. I didn't agree with those rankings.
What if somebody else on RotoGrinder started calling everybody Papi? Would you be cool with that?
Stop it. Someone's.
See, that to me is like STL Cards doing fast food rankings instead of Brit. He just honed in right on his brand. Like, that's Brit's brand. Brit needed to like take a stand there and say, "Hey, this is fast food. This is me, brother."
I can't believe he stole the idea. I can't believe he stole that from the other guy, man. Wow. That's fucked. I mean, I can't believe what's the thing that won? Chick-fil-A won. Chick-fil-A got first. I didn't even know that many people. There's not even a Chick-fil-A in the Midwest. I don't know how Chick-fil-A can beat Chipotle. Chipotle's more mainstream, first of all, but I don't know.
Chick-fil-A is good. So is Chipotle, though.
I'm all in on Chipotle's. These carnitas. I've never had carnitas before 2 days ago. I'm all in on carnitas. These are way better than chicken from Chipotle.
Really? All right.
It's so good.
Is that the pulled pork?
The thing is, I don't even know what it is. It's just
I don't know what it is, but I like it.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's pork. I don't know if it's beef. I'm on a diet too, and I don't know what it is. And I've been eating it twice a day now. So
I had Chipotle a few times. It's perfect for my low carb thing. I just get it without rice. I get everything I would get without the rice.
So what do you get?
Double chicken.
You get
I don't. I skipped. I did the lettuce for a while, but it just doesn't taste right. So I get guacamole, corn, the tomato salsa, double chicken, and fajita veggies.
That's a damn good idea.
And it's no carb.
Well, I need to have 400 grams carbs a day. So technically, I can't get on your diet.
You're younger than I am, and you work out a lot more.
I'm on a pretty good workout plan right now with my trainer. It's pork. Okay, it's pork. Got it. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know what carnitas were, but they're
delicious.
God, they're fucking fire, man. The Schwab says appreciate the insight. First time chatter. Love the show though, Joey. Much love, Schwab. Much love, Schwab. Yeah, I know, Schwab. You seem like you're very passionate about, this other side of DFS, the protected DFS or protected. You said it's not about being that easy, but new people in DFS do not have the advantage of hitting per se like some original DFS members, and now are going against these scripts from people who first had the money. We understand just max entry does not warrant you winning a tournament. It's about them killing success of future players. Since we know we are going against teams of people, it's very simple.
Okay. They have casual games in the lobby. They have beginner games in the lobby. So there's two things that can keep you from playing in a shark-infested waters if you're not an experienced player. Two, there's single entry 50-50s, single entry double ups, single entry triple ups, head-to-heads, single entry tournaments, 3 max and 5 max. Right? So if you don't want to play against people with like 150, you can play against people who have one lineup. You can play against people, okay, well, I want to play in a little bigger tournament, but I don't want to play against people that have multi-mass entry. You can play in a 3 max tournament, which is what Draft Street was back in the day. They had everything was 3 max.
So you're missing the third option, technically. But
what's the third option?
The third option is you play a fucking different site. You don't play one of the main sites.
Yeah, if you want to go against, but everybody wants to play for the big money.
That's true.
It's just catch-22. Like somebody said, I said, what do you want to see out of a merger the other day? Question popped into my head when all the merger talk was starting before they announced. I said, okay, well, if these sites merge, what do you want to see? Somebody said, I want to see larger prize pools in the Millionaire Maker, but have it be single entry. How do you make those two things work together? So you want a 400,000 person tournament, all unique users.
Not going to be able to do it.
Let's figure out something else then.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I mean, let's think about
and
this.
And poker's going through the same exact thing with the multiple day entry flight tournaments. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a similar thing.
Those happened after I left.
Multi entry.
Like the Seminole Hard Rock runs them, right? Where like they have like 5 days. I know the Commerce Casino runs them out here in Los Angeles.
It's a lot bigger now. Yeah, it's getting more and more popular where you have these multiple day ones.
And why do you think those have become more popular?
to raise the prize pool, and also to give people
like to play for a lot of money. It's
and
more
also
fun.
It gives people a chance instead of just playing one day. If you travel, well, now you got a second time to play, a third time to play. So if you're going to commit yourself to going to a stop, now you can actually have a better chance of lasting in the main event.
Instead of like getting coolered in level 2.
And you know what?
And not being able to get away from it.
I haven't heard this in a while in poker. With the rebuy tournaments, I used to hear people complain that, oh, the pros get to keep rebuying. But with these multi-day entry ones, I don't hear that as much. So I wonder if there's some parallel you could do with DFS or...
I think there would be a fun tournament, and I don't know if I know a site has not run it, but I think that it would be a cool way to deal with multi-entry. I also had a way to deal with multi-entry a few years ago. I made a forum post on Roto Grinders about it, and it still kind of lives and breathes today, which is hilarious, the legs that post has had.
What's the gist of that the
Al Smizzle quarter arcade challenge. And this is the same multi-entry argument was happening 2 years ago, in 2014, and it's always you multi-entry guys, who are winning, and I just can't afford to multi-entry. And I said, okay, they have a quarter tournament that you could enter 40 or 50 times. Try it. It'll cost you like $10. I think max entry is like $12.50. And make all those lineups and see how tough it is to manage that many lineups. See if you can be successful at that. And if you are able to be successful at that and you do win it and you do see bankroll growth there, either A, you'll win enough to move up a level and maybe try the $1 or the $2 tournament, or maybe you'll find out this is difficult and it's not for me. To do multi-entry, I need to stick to the single and 3 max stuff. But you kind of have to find your way, because there's no single way to be successful at daily fantasy. There's a lot of different ways to slice the turkey, so to speak.
I want to try that.
Yeah.
I want to make a lot of lineups. I want to make a lot of lineups, but I don't want to spend $20 to put every lineup in.
But there's the other idea that I had. Take a tournament where everybody has one entry fee, but you have to enter X amount of lineups.
Oh, Pop B.
Right? So like a $20 tournament, but everybody gets 50 lineups.
Why does that not exist?
I don't know.
That's a great idea. Holy shit.
It would be fun, right?
That would be amazing.
Everybody has 50 lineups, and if you only make one, then your little 50 lineup train just goes chugging along the tracks. But if you make 50 different ones, you have 50 different lineups in that tournament, all for one entry fee. Everybody's in for the same price point.
How do we get this go? How does this?
I don't know. It's a coding issue, I think. I mean, I haven't I haven't spoken to anybody at the sites about it, but I think it's a good idea. It's not my idea. I'm sure I've read it somewhere before. I'm not trying to claim it, but I think it's a cool idea.
That's one of the coolest ideas I literally ever heard of when I think about DFS right now. That's just sounds
right. Like if you want to try multi-entry, here's the multi-entry starter set. And even if you want to keep it to the casual games, right? So it's like if you're a casual player and you want to try out multi-entry, this is a good casual game for you to try out multi-entry.
That's awesome, man. Something else I was thinking about actually, and this is kind of something in the chat, was, kind of doing the show, and it seems like the players of DFS, they just have never really been marketed towards. Really, they're not marketed, rather. And in poker, you have these people that are marketed. You have these celebrities that are marketed. And poker's popular on its own, but you also have these celebrities who are then marketed. They're poker celebrities. It seems like in DFS there really isn't any I don't know why there isn't more, everyone plays it. I would just assume there'd be more players amongst the community who are more well known or people care about them, but it doesn't seem like people really care about many of the DFS players. And I don't know if it's because it's just a different thing than poker, or if it's just I don't know why that is. And maybe it's the companies haven't been marketing the players, been more marketing the game. But I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and I can't figure it out.
I mean, that was my goal going in. That was my wife's idea, to be honest with you. Because when I was playing poker, I was just kind of playing, right? Mm-hmm. And when I started playing daily fantasy and I started doing well at it, like I said, I qualified for a live final that October. We played in December. I won my first site championship in March of the following, 3 months later. And she said, okay. She's like, you're obviously good at this. You were good at poker, but you just kind of played poker. It was just like a hobby for you, something you did, and you did it seriously, but you just did it. So if you're going to do this, you have to create a brand. You have to get a blog. You have to do a thing. And that's when I contacted Dan Bach about, everything kind of happens luckily for me, I guess, in that aspect. I kind of fall backwards into stuff. So like she says this later that week, Dan and Dave announced that they were starting Grinders Live. And I went to college to be a sports broadcaster. You know, I was a communications student at Syracuse University, pretty good communication school, if you look it up. I wrote Dan a letter essentially saying, I just did your podcast like a week ago. Hopefully you remember me. I want to be a part of this Grinders Live show that you're doing. Put me on the air and I guarantee you won't get me off. And like that was, and he said, all right, we'll give you a shot. He's like, I'd like a day off. Let me see if we'll get you on the air. And I was trying to do whatever he wanted. And then I just said, okay, I'm going to stop doing whatever I think they want. I'm just going to be stupid. And I started playing with my kids' toys on the air and doing dumb intros and dancing and doing stupid, chair dancing and whatever with the goal. But like I had like a 3-4 year goal. And the goal was, okay, start with Grinders Live. I'm going to have to get on like Sirius XM at some point. I'm going to have to transition that into something else. And the goal was to be the guy on ESPN. And the first article that I wrote in Daily Fantasy was before I started working at RotoGrinders, was for this site called Re-Up Sports that no longer exists, right? And it was how important the big check is in daily fantasy. And nobody realizes it yet. Because one thing that Phil Hellmuth, for whatever you think about Phil Hellmuth, and I'm sure there's many differing, varying opinions about him.
There are, for sure.
I'm not talking about who he is, but you have to think about what he realized and recognized in the 80s that most other players at that time did not. And it was how valuable those bracelets really were going to be at some point down the road. And to me, those were, live finals were essentially final tables. And holding up a big check was essentially a bracelet, was what I kind of pontificated. And said there was a lot of guys who said they would have had 20 bracelets if they just weren't playing the side games, because that's where they were making their money. They didn't see the long view and the long picture. And my thing was, if I want to be a thing, I need to qualify for these live finals because that's all everybody's going to see. Nobody, until near the end of his life, nobody really recognized how great and influential a player Chip Reese was. Right. Everybody knew who Phil was.
Right.
So I kind of took that route.
I guess it's obviously worked out well, but I feel like I can understand why. I feel like you're great at what you do. You're great at on the mic, and I think contrary to what you might say on camera, I'm surprised you don't do more on-camera stuff then, I guess, because
I was doing 4 or 5 days a week at RotoGrinders.
All right, so you do a lot.
I was on SportsCenter last football season, but there's no DFS TV this year at ESPN.
Why you say you don't like the video stuff then?
I love the video stuff. I said the viewers don't like looking at my face. I love doing the video stuff.
I was like, wait a second, I think you'd be great on video. Like, why didn't you? I was like, wait, why wouldn't you do more video stuff then? So I was like, man, that wouldn't make much sense to me. But yeah, it's. So you feel like it has to be the person kind of pursuing the status in DFS, pursuing being on camera, pursuing being out there for people, rather than it's not just going to happen like poker where they might just market some people because they're good at the game. It probably won't happen like that.
Poker doesn't market people who are good at the game, though. Poker markets personalities. Daniel's got a fantastic personality, and that's why he was always marketed. And that's why he's done as well as he's done, because he transcends through the screen. If he was at a final table in the WPT, everybody could relate to him. They thought he was like this really cool guy and this really fun person to be around. And he's a nice guy. I shot some like poker VT stuff for him, like the first poker VT videos. I was at that table. Huh? Yeah, like way back in the day. So it's weird too. Like I had contacts at that point in time, and like one of them scratched my eye. So like I had to wear my glasses, or like the first day I was blind essentially when I was playing at the table those days.
I want to see with glasses. I should have found that picture for the main thing.
I've got a whole bunch of pictures from like pocket fives and everything back in the day.
I'm trying to think about this. So I guess the online guys now, those guys get more recognition online because they're good at poker, but they're not really personalities. They're just known as some of the best players, and people sort of follow them, or they're fans of their play style or whatever. But I guess a lot of the older guys who were well-known in poker got well-known because of their personalities on TV, or they just had a lot of dominance as well, too. And, do you think that could become more of a thing in DFS at some point in time? Like, that could be a way to get people, I don't know if more engaged or more interested. I feel like, I guess they're always going to be interested just because it's football, and people always like to watch football on Sundays. So, just
yes. and no. Okay, here's the thing. And one of the things that I heard Colin Cowherd say a long time ago, again, somebody that, I hate Colin Cowherd. Everybody's going to bring their own biases to that argument. But one of the things that he said, and it really rings true, if somebody's just sitting there in front of a camera or on a podcast in front of a microphone and they're telling you things that are right, but they're boring as hell, you could be right and people will change the channel. But if you're interesting, people will always tune in. So there's players that are way better than I am. Like, I've never claimed to be the best player in the world ever at daily fantasy. I'm really good at daily fantasy, but I know I could tell you, I would run out of, fingers and toes in like 20 seconds telling you all the players that are better than me, and I'd have to recount 2 or 3 times. So there's players that are better than me at the game, no doubt. And there's people that are better than me on the mic. But there's very few people who have both skill sets, who can play the game, be interesting in front of a microphone, hold themselves on live TV, engage you on a podcast where there is nothing visually for you to want to tune into, can make stupid references and make you laugh, even if it's to a dad joke here and there. There's a lot of things that you have to kind of do, and there's some guys that are very, very good at it. And one of the things that, without naming names, like there's a couple people in the industry who people will talk about even when they're not there. Can you believe what such and such said today? And you're talking about this person, they're not even in the room. That's a skill, man. Getting people to talk about you when you're not there is a skill.
It happens with Adam Levitan all the time in the chat on Sunday nights. They always talk about what Adam Levitan in the chat.
Yeah. I mean, he's gotten this whole shtick with his dog. It's awesome. And people relate to it and people love it. And I say dumb things and people seem to like it.
People say dumb things. It's really surprising, right? You wouldn't have expected people out there say these goofy things and these dumb things.
And people really like them.
So do you think do you think what, let's say the roto grinders world or the analysis world, like how do you think that can get more popular amongst Americans, amongst the more mainstream American audience who might not really consume that type of stuff outside of, let's say, a fantasy show on NFL Network or a fantasy segment on SportsCenter sort of thing? How do you get those people from SportsCenter to actually maybe tune into a podcast or tune into read an article or a show?
I mean, they're doing it. They're doing it for sure. I mean, my follower base on Twitter has grown. My Facebook following has really massively grown in the last few months. Our podcast, The Daily Fantasy Football Edge, pardon the plug, has also grown in the past few months. But we've been at it for 2 or 3 years. And it's that whole philosophy that, nobody comes out of nowhere, right? You see somebody on a movie, and you're like, oh, I've never seen that actor before. They totally came out of nowhere. And then you go to their IMDb page,
grinding,
50 things long, right? They've been working at it for years. So nobody really comes out of nowhere. But how does it blow up nationally? We were on the path for that until week 4 of last year when the New York Times article came out. And now with all the stigma that existed around daily fantasy and kind of still exists today, anytime there's an article about DFS nationally, it always harkens back to that, to that article. Like we have to mention that last October, this, okay, well, all right. So everybody that kind of, my dad used to say, like, if somebody's talking to you and they have their arms crossed, it's kind of like saying, prove it to me or show me. Like if you're talking to somebody and they're standing there like this, that's how most people, like if you start,
I do that sometimes, I'm like this.
No, like that's different. But like I'm saying, like crossed arms, like, that's very closed off from like a nonverbal standpoint. That is how I view the broader audience that doesn't play daily fantasy. That's how I think that they view daily fantasy. You should try it. Like, oh, I don't know. And then they start going off on all the different things. Well, does this have? Well, no, that didn't have. Well, this person had inside information. No, they were proven by a third party that they didn't. And here's the, well, I heard that. Okay, that's not true either. So you've got all these walls that we kind of have to.
You should do a video like that where like you bring these things. You're like, well, no, that's not.
No. Yeah, they said that. But I read it on the internet, and they start pounding their fists.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's a good point. It's only been around also for a couple of years now, 2-3 years. I feel like you look at any industry, it's going to take a couple years for it to really get
growing pains.
Right, for sure. I guess you probably plan to do this for a while then. You plan to be involved in the DFS world for the foreseeable future.
I mean, I love playing the game. I've played fantasy sports since I was 13. It's like my 30th year playing fantasy sports. I've been playing daily since 2012. The game started in like 2009 or 2010. So it's really a 6-7-year-old industry. It's still in its infancy. And it's getting, they're lobbying and they're getting bills passed state by state to make sure that people can play this game without reservation. But there's always going to be a stigma for anything, just like there's a stigma towards poker, just like there's a stigma towards, a lot of different things,
right.
that are becoming legal in this country, or will become legal within the next 5 years.
I think back, you mentioned daily fantasy started in 2009. I think back to being at Andrew Wiggins' place in Chicago, and him and Taylor Cabey had started Draft Day.
Humble brags.
And they were, but they were talking about, and I was like, had no idea what DFS was, and I'm just kind of sitting there. I didn't know them too well. I knew Brian Hastings, and I'm seeing like them run the site and them talk about filling the games, and I'm like, man, what the hell is DFS? And they're like, oh, we think it's going to be big. We think it'll be huge, and
they were right. It was big.
Yeah, no one ever anything. And now I look back, and what was that? Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and now it's this massive, and they just missed. And I think about, like, man, that could have been that easily could have been them, and because it's so new, and it just wasn't.
Wiggins has been killing it the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he almost won.
He's been like in the top 10 of the Millionaire Maker the last 2 weeks.
I know, it's incredible.
He's the calmest dude I've ever met.
That's true.
He's pretty calm. Like, he's in $1 million sweat, and like we're in like a little chat room, like with a bunch of our buddies, and he's like, "Oh well, I'm gonna win, or I'm not gonna win. Whatever. I'm gonna go walk my dog."
I mean, he had $1 billion sweat that he missed on. I guess $1 million sweat now. It's just all
right. I didn't get there. It was a good week though. Had a good week.
When you had your millionaire sweat, how were you? You obviously you periscoped it. How are you like?
I periscoped that when the clock hit zeros. That was my most successful periscope too. I got like 20,000 views for 10 minutes.
That's crazy.
It was something ridiculous, like live, 20,000 live views.
That's awesome. I mean, I guess it shows.
I know that I brought it on myself too, because I put like, I made sure that I put in the periscope, I just won $1 million on, so like people would see that, like somebody's like, oh, I won $1 million. I want to see this. And then obviously it goes to my Twitter feed immediately, so like I get all my Twitter followers, but then I got a bunch of people jumping into that as well.
Did you do anything with the $1 million after the fact, or did you kind of another day, another dollar, another night to make a?
I withdrew it. I'm super boring when it comes to that stuff. I withdrew. I won 1.18 million that day, something ridiculous like that.
Decent.
So I think I withdrew like 1.08.
How's that? So walk us through that, because some of us.
It's a wire transfer. You say I want to withdraw it, and I want to wire transfer, and they just wire it right to your bank account. It's in your bank account within 48 hours.
Do you go to the bank and confirm or something like that?
No, you go to the bank to confirm everything? You bank online.
Did. So my biggest wire I've ever got.
Yeah.
When I was living in Canada, I 100% went to the bank. I was like, "Can you just tell me how much is in my account?"
Yeah. They told me, I was like, "Print it out."
I was like, she's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, I'm playing poker online. She's like, "Must be going well." I'm like, I'm doing a good year.
What did you win?
Well, I mean, I just played high.
I was just grinding.
I played a lot of 2550 and 5100 PLO on stars.
All right, I didn't know if you like won a scoop or a W coop or something.
Yeah, I never played any tournaments basically.
Okay.
Maybe like a couple. Yeah, it was just amazing. I can't. But I had to double check. I'd just be curious if you go there. You're like, hey, did I get a wire in recently? And you're like, yeah, you got one. Whoa.
Oh, that's sizable. Yeah,
sizable. What'd you do, sir? And you're like, oh, I just picked the right fantasy football team this weekend, and
it's a fun day, but a lot of points.
Won the $1 million there. Hey, so how's the season been since then? Obviously, you said your cash game lineups went pretty well, weeks 1 through 9, which is pretty good.
I've won 2 seats. I won a seat to the Atlantis queue, but I didn't get through this week because my lineup wasn't any good because of the pivots. And I have 2 seats to the New York final in week 14, so that's going to be fun.
Isn't there a FanDuel final in LA?
There is. There's two. I think they have the Playboy final and they have their grand final.
Do you play on FanDuel?
I do, but I don't really go as hard after the cues on there as I do on DraftKings. I play a lot more on DraftKings, like double, triple the volume that I play on FD because I do better there.
Makes sense.
So you go where you play. I mean, you play where you win more. I
don't know if you got extra money, like a paid or anything like that, because I know you do the podcast for DraftKings, right?
Yeah, but it's not like the old red line deals on Full Tilt or anything. Like where you play and you get paid to play. It's nothing like that. I have to pay for all my own entry fees for everything.
You sure they don't like give you players that are going to do well and change your lineups after the fact because you work for the site or something now?
Unfortunately, no. My win rate would be a lot better.
Are you sure they don't do that, Al?
I'm pretty sure.
Let you change your lineup halfway into the game.
Yeah, see, like I said, somebody looks up my name, they're going to come up with a Deadspin article. It's like, oh, it's on the internet. It must be true. Well, no, not really. True.
This is a not a snapback. It's a fitted Run It Once hat, guys. Shout out to Run It Once. They sent me a lot. Listen, if you guys send me clothes, I'm gonna wear them. FanDuel sent me this football. The football's up there, and I rock FanDuel stuff around. DraftKings sent me, Run It Once sent me a bunch of shirt and clothes. I wear it. Fresh White Tees. They sent me some shirts. I wear the shirts. Al, you got some shirts to send me? You got a brand? You got any shirts? Any Al Smizzle branded shirts here?
I want to make some, but I'm afraid because I don't want to. I'm trying to get like a deal with a shirt company. Because I don't want to have to house inventory and mail all the stuff myself.
You can do it with a site where you just design it and then they handle all the shipping. They print them and everything.
Doing. Yeah, that's what I'm working on. Well, I'm going to get like one that says like hashtag Smizzlife across the front. I do those. If my players that I wrote up aren't doing well, I do like a support group, a Twitter support group on Sundays. Together we heal. Aww. I'm going to have like Punch and Pie because Punch and Pie is always served at any support group.
Okay.
Little invisible cereal shirt with Ezekiel Elliott's picture on it. Maybe one with Odell Beckham running away that says heels and elbows.
Okay.
Like I think there's a lot of cool Smith's Life shirts, like things that are kind of like my taglines that I use on the podcast all the time that people associate to like me or my brand that I think people would like to wear shirts that have those things on them. I think the Smith's Life shirt would be the worst selling shirt of the bunch.
I'm ready for it. I'd like to have a Smiz Life tank in my life. I'm just like, I'd rock it on the pod for sure. I want to, I got the punts and field goals shirt. Shout the punts and field goals on the wall there. I'd like to.
If I get you a hashtag Smiz Life with the S being a $sign shirt, you'll wear it on a podcast.
100%.
I will get that printed up next week as soon as Thanksgiving's over.
100% where? What are you talking about, man?
That will be to you by end of the week next week. You will have that before I'm in New York for the final.
Thank you. I might wear it on too if it fits me well too. So I mean, I just like I don't know if the clothes fit well. I like.
You're a big dude. Like you need like XL or what?
No, I'm not that. Come on, I
thought you're like 6'3".
I'm 6'2", but I'm muscular, but I'm not like I'm skinny. Like I can't.
All right. I'm 6'3". I'm down. I'm like 6'3", 225. You're probably 180.
I wish I was 225, man. I'm 185.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So just a large for you.
Large would be good. Yeah.
All right. You sure it's not gonna be like a half shirt on you?
No, it'll be fine. I mean, this one fits me like it's like fitted, but it makes me look really good. Just it's pink, so it also makes me look like I like to hang out in West Hollywood a lot too. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with hanging out in West Hollywood. I'm just saying I don't really want to be rocking a pink tank top on a show.
You're not trying to broadcast that, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be like, hey, I'm gonna go to the Abbey. I don't know if you've ever been to the Abbey. Shout out to the Abbey in West Hollywood. It's a fun place to go, but like you're gonna get in some situations there, and things are gonna happen. So I mean, it's you go out at all in LA at all?
I used to when I was younger. Now I don't do anything. I'm pretty boring now.
What's the craziest story you've done?
In Los Angeles?
Yeah.
I used to go to Vegas, and we used to like stay out all night in Vegas and then get breakfast at like 7 a.m. and then go to bed and wake up at noon. So like that was our Vegas trips.
Let's stop back. We're missing out on some information here. So I heard Vegas. I heard 6 a.m. I didn't hear anything in between. Like what? Walk me through. What's happening in this block right here? So 6 a.m.'s here. We start here. Where are we starting?
Like dinner would be probably over at 8, 9, or 10.
Okay, we're getting.
And
closer.
then we do stuff. And then
I'm not moving. He ain't moving. I didn't hear. Where's he going?
Yada yada yada. Then there's like stuff that happens.
Okay, so you go to Rhino for a couple. Okay, you go Spearmint Rhino.
Go wherever. Club. Yeah, whatever club. The bank or a gentleman's club or whatever we used to do. Shoot some craps, and then it's like 4, 5, 6 in the morning. Then we'd go to the Bellagio cafe, get some breakfast, and then head to sleep at 7 a.m.
Bellagio Cafe is so good.
It used to be so good.
I still love it. I mean, 5
The
a.m.
shrimp scampi at the Bellagio cafe was the nuts.
I don't know how you remember that.
You would not have think that. You would not have thought that. That and the Thai chicken wrap, the lettuce wraps, those were delicious too.
I've gotten those before. They are. I love lettuce wrap. I'm in on lettuce wraps anywhere, so I've never had lettuce wraps. I'm like, man, these fucking sucked. I'm like, these lettuce wraps are always pretty good. And so I like the Bellagio. I stay up at Aria normally, so if I'm playing cash at Bellagio, I want to play cash at Bellagio or at Aria, and you want to eat, you either go to Aria Cafe or you go to Bellagio Cafe. It's just. You still go to Vegas now? You married with the 2 kids?
I mean, my kids aren't ready to do that. My kids would tear up a casino.
I mean, you just throw them in Stratosphere, let them hang out there for a while. And, they got
and they'd end up like Drake sitting on the top of the Stratosphere, just looking out over the city, shooting their own album cover.
The thing is, they could literally be sitting on that crazy thing on top of Stratosphere.
I know, that's what I'm saying. They'd shoot their own views cover because my kids are animals.
They're crazy, huh?
Oh, they're wild.
Give us what's like one thing they've done that like.
My oldest one just goes 100 miles an hour from the time he wakes up until the moment his body shuts down and goes to sleep. And I mean, like, not like people that, oh, you know, he probably starts slowing down at like, you know, they go to bed, they're asleep by like 7:30. It's like, oh yeah, by 6:30 he's probably getting tired. No, like he can't even sit and watch cartoons. Like he'll watch cartoons, but something will happen and he'll get all excited and like run around the room and jump up and down. Like he's just a big ball of energy. He wakes up at 6 a.m. and he's going 1,000 miles an hour. And that does not stop until his head hits the pillow.
Is he a sports player, play some ball or play some soccer, something like that? He's
going to be a runner, more than likely.
Fucking runners.
Yeah. My wife was a runner, ran a bunch of marathons. Her brother was a scholarship runner at Butler. 2 of her nieces ended up Division I scholarship runners, cross country and or track. And she had 3 nephews that were offered D1 soccer scholarships. So the older one, like he's built like a tank, you know.
Fuck.
He's probably going to be taller than I am. He's way bigger than I ever was at that age. So like he might be like 6'5", 6'6", just ripped. Can run, you know, he runs like 1.5 miles and he isn't tired at 6 years old.
That's crazy, man.
He's insane. Yeah, it's insane. I got to try and keep up with this. I'm 43 years old and fat.
Bang, bang. People in chat said sounds like ADHD.
Yeah, it probably is.
Sounds like being a kid. Would you ever give your kids Adderall or Vyvanse or anything like that?
Nah, probably not.
No.
If you run it, like if he gets his energy, I liken him to like a Jack Russell Terrier. Just like think about a Jack Russell dog. You ever seen a Jack Russell?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like if you don't exercise them, they will tear up your house completely. Right?
So like run him out till he gets tired.
Yeah. So like before school, we get him to school like 15 minutes early and he does like 4 laps around the track at his elementary school. He's in 1st grade. And then he's fine.
Jesus.
Just got to get your energy out.
I like this kid, man. You think you get him on a pod or something?
He's a good kid. Awesome. He's made appearances on Grinders Live before.
This kid sounds great, man. I love
he's
this
a funny dude.
What's his name?
David Domingo.
Shout out to David. David Domingue is a nickname.
We used to call him Deuce because my dad's name was David, so we named him after him. So he's David II.
Drop a deuce. I like
Deuce.
Drop a deuce. We got in the chat, man. Christopher Eklund, what up, puppy? Perfect to find you streaming. What's up, buddy? My buddy Marco out there. Robert Lee, fuck lettuce wraps. Rich people eating lettuce to get a grip. All right, Rich. Calm down, Robert, please.
A little too militant for lettuce wraps.
Ed says cocaine. I highly doubt Al's 6-year-old child on cocaine, but
not that I know of.
Not that he knows of. I mean, I know drug problems start early in LA, but I highly doubt it's 6. Although, if he's in the entertainment industry, that might be a lie. Who else we got? Nasty Nate, Too Fat Matt, M&M's for breakfast. Yeah, what's his diet like? We're breaking it down. Where's he getting? Is he eating a lot of sugar? Candy?
He's the nature boy. I'm telling you, he's got like a 6-pack. He's 6 years old. He eats fruit. All he eats is fruit.
What the fuck?
Like he'll eat, he likes, he's a kid. He likes candy too. But it's like, oh, Dad, can I get something to eat? Can I get a snack? What do you want? Can I have a pear? Yeah, dude, you can have as many pears as you want.
Dad, I'm hungry. You want McDonald's? Can you eat some chicken and rice, please?
He'll eat some McDonald's. No, he'll eat some McDonald's too. But like if you say, okay, can I have a snack? Can I have some like Cool Ranch Doritos, or can I have some, like he'll say, can I have an Oreo? Right? No, that's more of a treat. You got to pick a snack. Okay, how about a banana? Yeah, you can have a banana. And he'll just chomp fruit. He'll eat like an entire huge fruit salad bowl like this big. That's his idea of this is fun.
He is building some GTO habits. Hell, I gotta say, I wish I was doing that when I was younger.
He's a brick house. He's 6 years old and he's a brick house.
Damn, this kid's awesome. I want to meet this next time I'm in LA. I want to see that. I want to meet this kid, man. I'm trying to take him to. I want to take him to the beach too, Santa Monica, man. Find some girls with him, man. He'll probably be.
He started picking up a girl at Coffee Bean this morning.
Stop it.
No, not kidding.
What? How was he doing?
His birthday's coming up. He sees this cute girl in Coffee Bean, some other 6-year-old girl. He walks, Daddy, can I go talk to her? Yeah, go ahead. Get your rap on. Go ahead. He goes over, walks over to her, says, hi, what's your name? My name's David. Tells him his name. He's like, well, my birthday party's next month. You want to come?
She coming?
No, I don't know this kid.
I don't know. Why not?
He's just asking random girls to come to his birthday party. He's got serious game. He's like 6.5.
Listen, when I'm in LA, if you guys need a night out or something, let me know. I got absolutely no problem watching.
He's got no fear and no shame.
He's a chess master. I agree. He is this master chess player. He's gonna be a grand he is a young chess master. I agree. John, I agree. He is a chess master. This kid is GTO before he didn't know what GTO means right now. He's playing GTO, man.
He doesn't even have any front teeth anymore. He's lost both his teeth. He's got a full-on snagglepuss just walking up to girls.
Man, I love this kid. This might be my new favorite kid. I don't know. I don't really know any other kids, to be fair, but guys in the chat, give us some questions, man. I know if you probably got some strat questions. I know you said you're recording 5 podcasts before Thanksgiving now.
Okay, well, I had this one. Okay. I have The Edge. We're doing a special episode of The Edge tomorrow. Like Adam usually does that one where he breaks down the weekend, but we're also going to do him and Pete are going to break down the Thursday games as well.
I like it.
I got the full Edge podcast on Wednesday night that we're taping. I have the On the Ball podcast with me, Dave Kitchen, and Drew Dinkmeyer, not centered around daily fantasy, just 3 guys who love sports, talking about sports.
I like that.
Me being stupid on a podcast. But that's me on every podcast, just me being stupid.
I don't think you're that stupid, buddy. I don't know.
I say stupid stuff.
I think you're funny.
Roughly 38,000 people enjoy my stupid comments. So.
Wait a sec. You say stupid, I say funny. Now I get or the disconnect is here. You keep saying stupid. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, funny. Oh, okay. Entertaining. Entertaining content. Now it makes more sense. So, all right, let me find give me a couple questions in the chat here, boys and girls. I'm going to be back tomorrow with a podcast with Mike Sexton, the legendary voice of the WPT. I'm excited to get him on tomorrow, Al. I'm pumped up, man.
He's coming on the podcast tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.
There's part of the disconnect, right? This is something else that I said. I said this to somebody else, and they laughed. I win the $1 million in week 2. Deadspin's got an article the next day. Mike Sexton wins the WPT tournament. When's his Deadspin article coming out?
That's true. How do we know someone from Deadspin?
I don't know. I definitely don't.
I really think networking's huge, man, for this kind of stuff. Like if you know someone from a Deadspin or like a Barstool.
Trust me, the Deadspin article wasn't a good thing.
Oh, they were hating on you?
Yes. You never saw that article? Go look.
What'd you do, bro?
I won a tournament.
Whoa. Are you tripping right now?
Yeah, they were alluding that I cheated to win that tournament.
Yeah, stop it. What'd you do?
Nothing. I won.
A Draftkings contractor won over $1 million playing.
Everybody in the community kind of defended it. People were putting alternate headlines in my mentions with Deadspin. I told Deadspin tweeted out and I replied. I wrote delete your account, and that got 1,000 retweets. And then people were jumping in on the conversation. Alternate headline: guy who's really good at daily fantasy wins daily fantasy tournament.
Wow.
See, I'm saying, how come there's no Mike Sexton Deadspin article today?
Now I see what you mean. That's yeah.
If Mercier wins a tournament on PokerStars, is there controversy?
No.
Why not?
I can't.
Because he obviously is a good player who didn't do anything wrong, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So this is the uphill battle that DFS fights, because I've been doing this a long time, and I was winning long before I started doing podcasts.
You haven't won the Millionaire Maker before. I mean, what the fuck?
Came in second in it in 2013.
Why didn't you get the advice?
0.5 points.
Yeah, why didn't you get the cheating boost then or something like that? I mean,
right? Yeah. Just crazy stuff, man. But getting back to your point from before, there's the disconnect.
Yeah, Deadspin guys in the chat. It's a website. It's like
Gawker.
It's like Gawker. Well, it's owned by the same company as Gawker, I believe, too. Yeah. So, Scott F says, what does he see being the pros and cons of the FanDuel / DraftKings merger? Sorry, I've discussed already. We did not discuss that already. And I am actually personally extremely curious what you think. Because I was talking about that last night, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, I hope they don't do what Stars did, where they just take all these players and now let's hire the rake. Let's try to make as much money from this as possible because we got to, pay. I mean, I don't know. I'm a little worried, but I'm very, very curious what you think because you've been around the industry for a while and you've kind of talked about a lot. You see a lot of opinions, stuff like that. Okay,
rake used to be 10.9876. Okay, so at $50 and below, it was 10%. At $100, it was 109, so it was 9%. $200 level was 8, and then up from there would be 6, 7, and 6%. Right, so it went down as you spent more. Whatever, incentivizing high volume or high dollar players, and that was the easiest way to get lower rake. And then, so people are concerned that if the two biggest companies merge, that the rake is going to go up. And right now, the rake in a lot of the tournaments is like 14 to 15%. Some of the double ups are 13, 14%. It gets to a point where the rake kind of cannibalizes the players, right? And it becomes a game that's really tough to tread water or win. And the people that could tread water and win at 10 or 11% are now losing to the rake at 13, 14%. So people are saying, well, it's going to go up to 20 or 25. At some point, it gets to a point where there's no homeostasis and the game can't cannibalize its own players and just, well, we're going to make more money. And the example that I give, and you're probably too young for this, but did you ever play SimCity? The old computer game.
Stop it. That was my fucking game. SimCity, Sim Tower.
Perfect.
Man, that was my stuff.
So you can relate to this then, right? So you get a good population in your city and you're running at a deficit, right? Which the sites are running at a deficit. So you want to kind of raise taxes. But there comes a point, if you raise the taxes too high, people start leaving your city, they start rioting, they start, crazy stuff starts to happen, your population goes down, you don't make the money that you thought you were going to make, right? By raising the taxes. So if you raise the rate too high, same thing. So you have to find that point where you can make the maximum you can make. And as players, we have to understand that the sites have to try and make money. At some point, we kind of have to understand that, right? As much like there should be no rake. Well, then there's no company. They're not going to live off of, sling ads on a tournament. So if we want the site, there has to be some sort of service fee. Now that service fee has to allow us to eat as players. And there is got to be a point where it's good enough that the site makes money and it's also low, it's high enough that the site makes money, but low enough that we can survive. And what I do think happens is if you're struggling to be profitable, and the sites have been struggling to be profitable, and then when hit by that New York Times piece and all the legislation and lobbying efforts and lawsuits and $100 million plus in lawyers' fees over the last 12 months and everything else that both sites have accrued. Now, if you streamline that and you say, we're going to come together, and instead of paying two different law firms from two different sites, you're going to pay for one set of lawyers' fees, right? So you just cut your lawyers' fees in half. You're also cutting your advertising fees in half because you no longer have to, FD doesn't have their advertising budget and Draftkings has their advertising budget. It's now just one advertising budget. So you're bringing in the money from both sites and the money going out is less, right? So theoretically, they now have a path to profitability through this merger. And I'm hoping as a player that, and I'm sure from a couple of the people that I've spoken to and reached out to, that they understand that the rake is at a point where it's difficult for players to survive. That as they reach this point to path to profitability, that the rake in certain sections will at least normalize, hopefully somewhere back to close to what we used to have, which was the 10.9876 model. But in certain situations, it's going to stay up there. Like a tournament where they have to guarantee money out there. There's a lot of risk to guaranteeing $1 million in a tournament every weekend. What if only 80% of it fills? Now they're on the hook for $200K.
Right.
Right. So those tournaments where they're putting out the most risk, I could see them keeping the rake high. But in double ups and 50-50s, head-to-head games, I could see it moving back. Because in 50-50s and head-to-heads, it's still on the 10-9-8-7-6 model if you look at the rake on those tournaments. But the double ups is now like 14%. That really needs to come down. And I think that maybe now with them cutting expenditures coming down, with them cutting expenditures and payables going out, that with the revenue staying the same, with both sites staying open, at least in the short term, and short term I mean until next football season, from everything we've read. I don't know anything you guys don't know. I'm going off of everything I've read, on Business Insider and whatnot. If you cut revenue, but you keep revenue where it was and you cut expenditures by half, you have a path to profitability. Then you can say, okay, well, what revenues how can we pass these savings along to the players by cutting rake in these certain spaces? Maybe mid stakes, maybe, bring them back down to the 10-9-8-7-6 model, maybe boosting like Stars has, Supernova and everything else. They have a great FPP system. Maybe boosting the FPP program a little bit better, finding ways for rake back or something like that. But I could see that happening, but at least the merger to me cuts their expenses, which gives them a path to profitability, which at least gives us a sake where it's not like, well, they're losing money, so they had to raise rake just to keep up.
That makes sense. Yeah, we don't really know how much they're spending on this. As you mentioned, the lobbying and all the fees. I can't even imagine. You have to fight in every state. You're fighting nationally.
Imagine fighting a 50 front war.
Yeah.
What was the rule? Never fight a 2 front war. They're fighting a 50 front war.
Right. It's
51 if you count federal.
Yeah, I can't imagine how much it's going to make for a very interesting book, article, movie in 10 years, 15 years, something like that, when all this side of, what's happening behind the scenes,
Who's going to play me, Jerry Ferrara?
I don't
get him some lifts in his shoes.
Who could play
you? Turtle kind of looks like me a little bit.
Dude, he's going to be too old.
So I'm old?
No. Maybe. Actually, it could be. Yeah, it's true. It could be. Yeah, it's true. Wait a second. I was thinking about this for a second. Yeah, 10 years, you might be able to do that. Yeah. It could happen. George says, nice cat puppy. Mark of a GTO PLO analyzer. Thank you, sir. I agree. Adam Clark. What did Adam Clark say? Adam said, oh, Gross, that's nice. Joey, you're a legend. Been following you for a long time. Big fan. Much love, puppy. Gracias. Will you get Dan Blazarian on the show? Maybe one day. Mama Nandis. Smizzle is the shizzle. Congratulations on your recent success.
Thank you.
Much love, Poppy. Much love. Nasty Nate. I guess we'll end with one or two more things. Thoughts on Stock Jocks is the first fantasy sports app where you can pick and drop players live in game. It's out of Canada, and Nick Stauskas is part owner. I never heard of it.
I have no idea.
Yeah, never heard of it. Poppy. Nasty Nate. Much love, Nasty Nate. You're even at the DFS show I do Sunday nights, my friend. I appreciate that a lot. Let me get one more question. One or two more questions, then we'll wrap it up. Who is the Phil Ivey and Dnegs of fantasy sports?
I think I'm the Negreanu, and probably the Phil Ivey is either Sahil or CSU Ram. I'm the guy that jokes in front of the camera all the time. I'm the guy that just tells jokes and points at that does all the Daniel Negreanu fun stuff. And I'm kind of a good player, but Phil Ivey's the nuts. So that would have to be Sahil or Peter.
I think it's Sahil. Phil Ivey's so quiet. He's like a quiet guy, whereas Peter does a lot of stuff. And I think, yeah, that's a good one. I can see Sahil's got to be something. He's obviously just, I don't know. Fucking Sahil.
He's a machine. Man. He's good.
He's a machine for sure. That's a great question. Let me think about that more. All right. Can you make Cmon BROux shirts?
Come on, bro. Yeah. There's a cornerback for the Saints named Delvin Breaux. And so last year on the podcast, there was this whole thing because his name is spelled BREAUX. Mm-hmm. So we would just say, come on, bro. And it became a hashtag for everybody that listens. Come on, bro.
Come on, bro. I want the Smizzle shirt for sure, man. I'm just trying to. Chris Eklund said, "Love the new 500K Bovada series. Thank you guys. If you, I have a new series up on my YouTube. Can I win $500,000 at Pot Omaha and Bovada?
Can you?
Episode 1 went up last week. It's over the last 12 months of me playing on Bovada, playing PLO on there. So I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, so we no spoilers, but like you already know the ending.
I already know the ending. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I know the ending for season 1. I don't know the ending for season 2 yet. Season 2.
Oh, let's see. You got to market it. Yeah, you got to have a cliffhanger at the end of that season, right?
Exactly.
So like, there's gonna be like you're gonna be in this huge hand where like maybe you get there and the turn card's gonna come out and it's gonna give somebody the entire deck of outs and then fade to black. Like find out next season if I get there.
For episode 1, I literally did exactly that. I used the Interstellar music because I cut the black right at the end. So I put the Interstellar music down, and then when the river's about to come, it cuts to black, and then that's next week's preview. And people are, and then I did these little social media things, these like 3-minute things where I did that too. I cut it before the river happens, and then I don't talk about the river.
Oh no, you're so good at this.
No, I'm learning. I started right now. Like I'm trying to learn.
Do you get like a lot of like hate tweets or replies to those when you cut off the river there?
Well, I've only done one now.
Like, does it work? Like, do people like stay enthralled and engaged and want to come up to the next one, or are they like upset at you? How dare you cut out? What happens?
Well, one person said it's tilting. I said my team told me to do it. My 8-woman team. Shout out to my 8-woman team. They're over there right now. But yeah, you just say someone else told you to do it, and then people are like, it's okay. He didn't do it himself. His team told him to do it.
You just pass off the hate to some imaginary group.
My coach told me. Yeah, my marketing and advertising coach told me I got to market and advertise better. So if I create good content, I have to do better of actually getting it out there to people and getting people to see it.
Yeah. And the key is 90 to 120 seconds. People will watch 90 to 120 seconds of something on a teaser.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's what they say. The best of clips. And I'm kind of getting all in on studying about advertising. I mean, you've thought about this a ton. I could tell. I've just been poker focused for the last 9-10 years. Yeah. And maybe these past month or two, I've really been getting into the whole entire marketing stuff, advertising stuff. And it's like learning 5 versions of poker now, because you got to learn there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Instagram.
Facebook is way different from Twitter.
Way different. Yeah. So it's like 2 different things. And
Twitter's pure. Twitter is just like, I tweet something, if I tweet a link, people click it. That's it. You know, Facebook, if you tweet a link, maybe we'll show it to the people that follow you. Maybe we won't. We're not sure.
Right. That's like the master of Facebook algorithms. Like, okay, well, that's not going in front of anybody. You like pay to get and I just spent my first money on advertising on Facebook, like ever. I've never spent money on advertising ever for anything. And I spent
Is it working for you?
I'm not sure how to gauge. It's getting the 2 pieces of content that I did they have engagement on there. But so I don't know. I'm not sure how to gauge it. I'm just going to kind of click around, spend a couple $1,000s and see what happens, and then
don't do that. You want me to tell you how to blow up your Facebook page?
Let's hear it.
Facebook Live.
What are you Facebook living? I guess you're just
every Friday I do like a question and answer one, but you use that because if you do they're trying to get people to do Facebook Live. So if you do a Facebook Live, then it will put it in front of all of your people, and it will also put it if anybody is watching it of your people, it will put it in front of on somebody else's timeline that doesn't follow you. They'll say such and such is watching, Joe Ingram live right now. Do you want to watch? So you'll show up in timelines of people that don't follow you. They will then watch your thing. Get them to use the reaction emojis in some way, manner, shape, or form. For yes, give me a thumbs up. For no, give me a heart. Get them to do that, because then after you go offline, it shows you everybody who did that, and if they don't follow your page, invite. That's the fastest way to grow your page, and it's better than any, Facebook advertising money that you're going to spend.
Yeah, I'm taking
a page like ours.
Right, I'm taking a couple of different courses. I feel like ours is kind of similar because we're both personal brands doing a lot of different things as well too. And I guess are you you're affiliated with Roto Grinders and with Draftkings, but
I'm not affiliated with Roto Grinders anymore. I did a show with them for 2.5 years.
What happened? They stopped paying the fee. What?
I started doing ESPN stuff. I can't do everything.
Yeah,
I'm still friends with everybody at Roto Grinders, but I don't have any content on Roto Grinders.
ESPN kid. I don't watch ESPN, so I don't even know about. I know you write for ESPN, but what's your ESPN stuff, like your on camera stuff?
Last year I was doing digital video and live Sports Center hits. Like they'd bring me out to Bristol every other week, and then I do a couple Sports Center hits during the week. Basically, they say you're doing stuff on all platforms. So this year I'm still doing stuff on all platforms except for TV. I'm doing written articles, digital video, radio, podcast, but no television work this season. And I had an article in the Fantasy Football Preview magazine.
That's awesome, dude. I love it. Someone said you're more like Antonio Sfandiari.
I don't do magic.
Yeah, I don't think you're. I think you're like different than Daniel too. You're like your own unique soul.
I mean, Daniel's unique too. I'm not trying to be him. I'm just me.
I think you're like. I don't know. I think you're like. It's just like I don't know. I feel like he if he was like you, it would be great for poker. I mean, I think it's already good for poker in some ways, but he's getting crazy these past couple of years. So he's all Poker Stars shilled and he's in favor of all the bad changes. He's all crazy on Twitter and stuff like that on social media. So he's getting carried away. But he's had many more years. You know what I mean? He's had like 16, 17, 18, 20 years he's been building up this name for himself in poker. Yeah. So
and I've been working nobody knew who I was in December of 2012.
Yeah. I mean, now, like I said, I mentioned that short term, long term. I feel like if this keeps happening 7, 8 years, 9 years from now, like, I mean, that's kind of I'm always thinking long term whenever I start doing the pod or when I start doing anything. I'm always like, well, where in 5, 6, 7 years could this be? And that's how I approach things. I'm just very long term and sort of just grind to get there. And who knows where it'll go, but it'll be fun along the way, especially if you enjoy what you're doing. If you enjoy talking about football, like
I like talking about sports.
Yeah,
I said to somebody, I talked about sports my entire life and for absolutely no money. And then like 3 years ago, people said, "Hey, we want to pay you to do that." I said, "That sounds like an awesome idea." So do exactly what I'm doing now, but you're going to pay me? Yeah. I like this idea.
Yeah, you're like, wait, I'll do it for.
I was going to do this anyway. I was just going to do this anyway. So just send the check here.
Oh man, it's great. All right, give people a call to action. Let them know if things to check out from you.
Facebook is Al Smizzle Zeidenfeld. Twitter is @Al Zeidenfeld. Many different podcasts: Daily Fantasy Football Edge podcast, Daily Fantasy Show on ESPN, and the On the Ball podcast. Those are the things that I do.
My recommendation, if you guys want to listen to a DFS podcast, they do one every Thursday. Him, Peter Jennings, Adam Leviton. It's they go through the whole entire slate of all the games. It's what I listen to each week, and I would absolutely have no idea what's happening if I did not listen to that podcast. So I'm very happy I do.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, we try and take an hour and 15 minutes and tell you what we think about every game.
Yeah, it's really good. I love it. I would have no idea what's happening, and I don't even play DFS some weeks, but I just listen to the pod because I just want to know what's happening. So it's pretty good. All right, let's wrap it up. Guys in the chat, I'll be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern time, Mike Sexton. And then Wednesday, me and Doug Polk's new show, Table Talk, is going to premiere 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking about all poker topics, trending stuff. We'll have some segments. It'll be very fun. And that's it. My show will be up again on this week sometime. That's all I got. I don't got much. So, guys, appreciate it. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, thumbs up. They told me, my team said I got to ask for those things, so make sure you do that. What?
You do. They got to give you the thumbs up. They got to subscribe.
Yeah, if they watch, they don't give the thumbs up. The thumbs up helps. I'm figuring this out.
After 82 people watching now and 15 thumbs up. There should be at least like 40 more thumbs up right now. Like literally, y'all need to click the thumbs up.
I never asked for this type of stuff, but people like my coaches is like, you gotta say it, otherwise people just don't do it.
They won't do it. You got to ask for reviews. You know.
Yeah, you gotta ask for everything. It's crazy.
Click that thumbs up button. We're up to 17. Be the next guy. Who's going to be 18? 18, I hear 18, 18, 18. Oh, no. Back down to 16.
Oh, shit, no. All right, guys, much love. You want to follow Al? I think Al's GTO Spots Twitter, man. His Twitter's a shit. And it makes watching football much, much more enjoyable. So, Al, peace out. I'll see you on the online world, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Take care, buddy.